Welcome to our October Cabinet meeting. We'll start with item 1 on the agenda today, which is apologies. I don't believe we've any apologies on. No. Thank you. We move on to item 2, which is declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest? Thank you for that, Councillor Hughes. Got that on? Move to item 3 then, the minutes from the September 2023 Cabinet. These are on pages 3 to 12 of the packs that you have, colleagues. All members have had an opportunity to review these minutes. Are members content that they're a true record? Thank you. We'll move then to item 4 on our agenda today, which is the Gwent Regional Partnership Board Annual Report. And this covers the period 2022 to 2023. It's quite a comprehensive document, as you will have seen, and it's available in your packs on pages 13 to 180. Now, the Gwent Regional Partnership Board Annual Report is required in the Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act 2014. Our Strategic Director, as the designated Director for Social Services, has a statutory duty under the Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act 2014 and, as amended by the Regulation and Inspection of Social Care Wales Act 2016, to produce an annual report. Now, the Regional Partnership Board Annual Report sets out duties for the Council to complete an area plan and an annual report. The Welsh Government lays out the statutory framework for the development of our regional area, and this plan should include how joint health and social care priorities will be delivered in partnership across our region. The RPB fully adopt the Wellbeing and Future Generations principles and are aligned to the Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act principles. The progress on the delivery of our area plan is set out in the RPB annual report. Now, it's important to note, colleagues, that the format and the nature of the report is determined by Welsh Government, with a requirement for the report to be submitted to the Welsh Government and statutory partners. The report highlights children's services, the correlation between accessing care and support and poverty, which has been well documented in research, whilst in adult social care, the role of unpaid caregivers creates particular socio-economic challenges for those with high levels of vulnerability. During 2022-23, the impact of the cost of living challenge can be clearly seen in the referrals and requests for support to social services and the increasing demand for prevention and inclusion services. And colleagues, as you'll be aware, the impact of this is reflected throughout this report. Now, I am also pleased to note that there was very good discussion with members when the report was presented to the Council's Performance Scrutiny Committee for Partnerships on Tuesday, the 10th of October, and I thank the chair of that committee for their contribution to that debate. So at this point in proceedings, I'll pause and invite the Cabinet Member, Councillor Hughes, who's also the Vice Chair of the Regional Partnership Board, to comment. Councillor Hughes.
Thank you, Leader. As you say, the area plan sets out our responsibilities of the Regional Partnership Board to the findings of the Regional Population Needs Assessment. Leader, the report highlights the importance of working in partnership and creating synergy across our services in both Gwent's region and in Newport itself as a city. The RPB provides a forum to develop these strong partnerships, to develop solutions based on outcomes and working together, co-producing with our citizens and working side by side with our third sector and independent providers. Yesterday, Leader, Councillor Marshall and myself attended an in-house staff conference. Our staff were, I have to say, immense and gave a much clearer explanation of how projects in Newport and within the region support people. These projects streamline services, improve communication between professionals, improve partnerships and increase capacity. They are also taking pressure off our NHS at a crucial time. In children's services, our partnerships projects mitigate, where possible, children entering care and support family reunification, decreasing the amount of babies, children and young people coming into the care system. The regional partnership work supports initiatives in the delivery of priorities with adults, children and their families, carers, dementia, health and housing, mental health and autism. And all are seeing successes at a time we know health and social care services are under relentless pressure. And Leader, it's easy to become despondent in health and social care at the moment, but yesterday's conference showed example after example of how our workforce is doing remarkable things, coming together, bonding, working on strong partnerships and making a real difference. A real difference in supporting our most vulnerable, in supporting our NHS, in supporting our families, keeping young people out of care and providing strong community care and hospital partnerships to alleviate some of the pressures on our NHS as we approach winter. We are aware of the changing needs and demands of our population, an increasing older population, and unprecedented increases in demand at a time of intense workforce and financial challenge. There is significant work going on to improve structures and governance within the RPB as they adapt to these changes. But we are seeing increased focus on community care, exemplifying the ethos of intermediate care, multidisciplinary team working towards a fully integrated pathway of care for older people. The reality is partnerships are critical to everything we do in Newport, and I'm proud that Gwent is leading the way and Newport are integral in that process. Can I also thank the Scrutiny Partnership Committee for their involvement in this, and I'm happy to support both considerations presented today. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Hughes, and of course thank you for your continued commitment to the RPB on behalf of Newport. We really value that. Thank you. Any further contributions? Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Leader. I very much welcome the latest action plan, the adoption of the Marmot principles in particular. There are very clear priorities in improving outcomes for our children and young people with complex needs, with a focus on mental health and emotional well-being. Outcomes for older people have been considered, along with supporting those with neurodiverse conditions and those individuals with mental health conditions. I very, very much look forward to seeing future reports where we will see progress being documented. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Any further comments from colleagues on this particular item? Are colleagues content to approve the recommendations? Thank you. We'll move then to item number 5 on our agenda today, and this is the Baysleg Bridge report. This is on pages 181 to 190 of your packs. Now, the report provides the background to the work undertaken since the structural defects in the bridge were identified and the details and outcomes of an option appraisal exercise. The report is for us as Cabinet to note the need for a new structure and agree which option we feel would be the appropriate option within this context. Now, colleagues, you will be aware that Baysleg Bridge suffered damage which resulted in an emergency closure, and following this closure, some stabilisation works were undertaken and the bridge was able to be reopened to pedestrians. Since that time, we've been working to repair and rehabilitate the structure, but unfortunately, due to the condition of the bridge, this is not possible. On that basis, officers have considered a number of options on how this issue can be dealt with, and they're seeking to progress an option which will see the replacement of the existing bridge with a new bridge in the immediate vicinity. Clearly, colleagues, this is not an easy or a quick task, and neither is it a low-cost option. And the costs identified at this early stage of between £5 and £9 million far outstrip the Council's available resources. Welsh Government have advised that any bid for funding should be accompanied by a Welsh Transport Appraisal Guidance Assessment, and the proposal is that this is progressed in order to enable a bid to be made. The Council fully appreciates the disruption to the residents of Forge Mews that the ongoing closure of the bridge to vehicles is having on them. Officers have engaged with residents and have continued to maintain the pedestrian access and continue to monitor the structure. The City Council will, of course, continue to do so while progress is made on any replacement. So at this point, colleagues, I'll just pause and invite comments. Cabinet Member, Councillor Lacey.
Thank you, Leader. I'm pleased to see the report at Cabinet today and want to reiterate our cost position. A repair and rehabilitate on this bridge would have cost between £1 to £1.5 million in capital outlay, and now we're looking at £4 to £8 million higher. Taking that into account, it was right for the infrastructure team to monitor the movement over a significant period of time and work with external agencies and consultants to completely rule out the possibility that any repair work could be done, as this would have been a significantly lower cost and a significantly reduced time for completion. The Council will now look to fund the £40,000 to provide the well tag assessment to Welsh Government in order to apply for the funding of the £9 million by the Resilience Road programme, and I fully support the move to well tag, and the option 3 is a preferred option. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Lacey. Any additional comments from Cabinet? Are members content to agree? Oh, sorry. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Leader. Sorry, I just got in there at the last second. Really, just sort of reiterating what yourself and Councillor Lacey are saying, that reading the documents, that if discussions are to go on and to continue, it has been stated by Welsh Government that then there needs to be this assessment to take place. So I think sort of for the future, this is something which needs to happen. So yeah, just really sort of on the back of what yourself and Councillor Lacey have said.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Clark. Thank you. So, colleagues, are we content then to note the report and to agree the recommendations in the report, which asks us to agree to the progression of a Welsh Transport Appraisal Guidance Assessment in order to support any future funding bids with regard to option 3 of the report? Thank you for that. We move to item 6 on our agenda, our Corporate Plan Annual Report Self-Assessment. This is on pages 191 to 272 of your packs, and I think it's really important to note when we look at this that this is the first self-assessment of our new, most recent corporate plan. But the process in terms of reporting annually on the corporate plan has changed somewhat, requiring a shift to self-assessment as opposed to just a report. And I welcome this because it provides an opportunity for us to challenge internally and also for external challenge. So it's a very positive shift in terms of the work that we need to do. Now, you'll recall that the Council approved its 5-year corporate plan to deliver an ambitious, fairer and greener Newport for everyone. The report reflects on 2022 to 2023 and the achievements that we've made, as well as highlighting the challenges that we've had to face as an organisation. Now, looking back across the last year, it's been an extremely challenging time for Cabinet and for our officers in responding to the cost of living crisis and those continuing pressures on our frontline services. As the Cabinet, we're all committed to improving the delivery of our services across our communities, and we acknowledge the challenges that our housing, social services, education and highways have really experienced over the course of the past year. And what we recognise through this is that addressing this needs a collaborative approach with our partners, residents and businesses. The report is also supported by the continued commitment from the Chief Executive, her senior leadership team and senior officers from across our service areas to respond and continue to improve the services that we deliver to our residents across Newport. As the report highlights, we've made a good start to our wellbeing objectives, with some needing some further improvement. Overall, I'm very satisfied with the information that we provided here and the reflections upon our progress. And I was really pleased to have an opportunity, along with senior officers, to engage with the Scrutiny Committee on this. It was a great opportunity to talk about many of the key aspirations of the Cabinet and of the wider Council. So the Council continues to perform well across its waste services, and I'm pleased to note we've made a really good start in reducing our carbon emissions. The report also shows, and I'm particularly delighted with this, that as a council we've made significant progress in education, with no schools in Newport being in special measures following the improvements made by Newport High School and Malpas Church in Wales Primary School. And I'd like to congratulate all of the staff within the schools, the governing bodies and the head teachers for their continued commitment and dedication to move forwards. Now, colleagues, for the first time the pay gap between men and women is closed, along with a range of important equalities work, and that's also covered in another item on our agenda today. Within my own portfolio for regeneration and economic development, I want to acknowledge the work that we're doing as a council, but also our contribution to Cardiff Capital Region and the Western Gateway to secure long-term significant regeneration and economic development in Newport and the wider region. You will, of course, have heard in the last month an important announcement in relation to this, which highlights the fact that Microsoft will be coming to Newport, and they've establishing themselves here at Imperial Park. Now, we're all fully aware of the challenges that city and town centres across the UK face, and we would all recognise we're in a period of transition. We were delighted to welcome the Minister to Newport last week to be able to show her where the Welsh Government's support and investment has actually gone across our city. And I'm sure you're all aware that she was delighted with the investment that we had made in partnership with Welsh Government. We've also been able to develop a wide programme of events, and these are featured in the report, and I think it's particularly positive to highlight the events that we've developed and delivered across the year, because it marks that return to being able to come together across the city and invite visitors to join us following, of course, the years of the pandemic. I think we're all particularly proud of the opportunity that we had over the past year to host Wales National Armed Forces Day here in Newport. And what we do know from the opportunity to host these events, whether we lead them as a city council or support them in partnership with others, is the opportunities that this brings, not just for residents to engage with the events, but also for our businesses in the city centre. And we've got a strong evidence base developing that there is a significant increase in footfall and benefit to our businesses when events are staged here in the city centre. So I'd just like to pause at this point and invite Cabinet members to comment on and highlight any particular issues that they'd like to raise with regard to their own portfolio areas. So, Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Leader. As you quite rightly say, it's a year since Council approved our 5-year corporate plan with its 4 clear wellbeing objectives. When considering outcomes specifically in relation to education, it is important at this stage to reflect on our achievement. And as you quite rightly noted, that none of our schools are in special measures, and I can add that we are one of only 2 local authorities in the whole of Wales who can currently claim this. And there's a record number of our primary schools have been asked to produce reports which evidence best practice. In the last year, we have also published a poverty strategy which is to support schools in delivering and sharing best practice. There's a clear focus on inclusion, and all our head teachers understand our priorities in relation to attendance and a reduction in fixed-term exclusions. Children are safe in our schools, and their lifetime opportunities and aspirations can only improve if they attend school on a daily basis. It's recognised where mental health and well-being is a challenge, specifically in relation to emotionally based school avoidance, which is a challenge that schools have worked incredibly hard to overcome, and they've worked to best support their students. And we're seeing them delivering enhanced and alternative provision, providing bespoke solutions to get young people back into school. And this is a real challenge post-pandemic, and schools are successfully addressing these issues. Our schools are a credit to Newport, and their best practice is being emulated across the consortia and in Wales. One specific example is Llanwyn High, which received the Professional Lead Teaching Award under the Betty Campbell category for promoting contributions on the perspectives of the Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities, which recognise the school's work to install a culture of connecting. And I know my Cabinet colleague, Councillor Harvey, is especially proud of this award in her role as chair of the school. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Deputy Leader. Any further comments from colleagues? Councillor Forsey.
Thank you very much, Leader. You won't be surprised to know that I just wanted to highlight some of the excellent work on climate change and biodiversity that's been carried out by the Council in the past year. We've seen considerable improvement in our fleet of vehicles, including the electric refuse vehicles and electric buses, and of course this helps to reduce our carbon footprint. But we've also been working on the carbon footprint of our buildings with solar panels and air source heat pumps in our schools and leisure facilities. We've also taken more consideration of our procurement systems in considering the carbon footprint of the things that we buy. But also this is about engaging with the wider community, because this is something we all need to do. And we've seen the installation of electric vehicle chargers and the development of active travel routes for walkers and cyclists across the city. And also the use of our land, managing the spaces that we have for nature. And this requires a change in mindset, really, as to what we consider good management of land. And I'd just like to thank our biodiversity team for all the work that they do. And finally, I'd like to give a shout out to the Dragons RFC for the work they're doing in their carbon footprint, particularly in their engagement with fans and their pledge ball system. And I'm sorry that I can't be with the Dragons on Saturday, but I'd like to wish them all the best for their match against Edinburgh on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Forsey. Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Leader. It's a good report to be reading, and there's plenty there to highlight the hard work of our staff and everyone else involved. I am extremely proud, as Deputy Leader have said, of Llanwyn High. It's been on a rocky road for a long time, but we're heading well and truly in the right direction. I also want to put on record my thanks to the staff, because I think sometimes people forget we provide 800 services to the city. It takes a lot of money. We're doing a lot more with a lot less. Ultimately, we got less funding. But I'm really pleased to read this report. It's shining quite bright with green. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you for your positive comments there, Councillor Harvey. Councillor Petruni.
Thank you, Leader. I just want to say I'm proud of a couple of achievements in this corporate plan, but also to emphasise where we do have green rag rate status, that our foot won't come off the pedal in any of those areas. None of us look at green and think, great, job done. It's just highlighting that we're on the right path. And it's important we emphasise that we don't accept green as, that's it, that's great, we will continue to put our foot on the pedal. But I just want to highlight some of the successes and recognise some of the challenges, but particularly around wellbeing Objective 4. We launched our new digital strategy, which is about making us fit and sustainable for the 21st century, which I know is very close to your heart as well, Leader. But also recognising those in our community who are not digitally savvy. There's a piece of work to do there, and to recognise that, we have to keep the face-to-face contact in the town centre, to recognise individuals prefer not to engage on a digital platform. Also, participatory budget settings, where we engage communities and charity and third sector organisations to take charge of money to make a benefit to them and to their communities, particularly to vulnerable groups. So it's highlighting that and our great work in that area. And something we should be all very proud of, and which is the last bullet point, 69% of women are occupying the highest paying jobs in this council. That's no mean feat. And that shouldn't be underestimated and taken for granted. I think that's a hell of an achievement. And you look at other councils across this nation, nowhere near that. But we also must recognise that our work representation needs to work in other areas, namely the LGBTQ+ communities, minority ethnic communities, to be more representative of the populace we represent. We're committed to that. We're committed to better check-in services for our staff to make sure they're fit and well and happy to work and get on with the jobs they are tasked with. And the website, the council website, we're on it. We're working very hard on it. Don't see the green and think we're done on that. Just want to emphasise that will be changing hopefully in the near future.
Thank you for that, Councillor Petruni. Any further contributions from comments from colleagues on this item? Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Leader. Just sort of tagging on to what my fellow colleagues have said, but also it's about protecting the environment, which is including the health and safety and public protection. So there's other areas in the report regarding the fight against illegal tobacco. 300,000 counterfeit cigarettes and 64 kilos of tobacco has been seized. Over £100,000 worth of assets frozen. Over 1,930 illegal vapes have been seized. There's been investigations into age-restrained sales, and also over £140,000 worth of counterfeit goods have been confiscated. So, you know, as I said, my fellow colleagues, you know, it is ongoing, but there are sort of real inroads being made here, and you know, there's some positive stories. So yeah, just wanted to mention that, Leader.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Clark. And as you highlight there, and I think we all recognise a point of very significant, a very significant point, which is actually quite important here, is that it's important to note that this progress doesn't happen by itself. It's our officers that deliver this, and it's our officers working closely with partners and stakeholders for the benefit of the people of the City of Newport that actually deliver this for us. So I'd like to, on behalf of Cabinet, thank officers for the progress that they've made against these strategic objectives over the past year. Having had an opportunity to reflect on the report and to contribute to the debate, our Cabinet content to agree the content of the report and recommend that it be presented to full Council for adoption prior to publication. Yep. Thank you all, and thank you for your contributions there. Now we move to the next item on our agenda, item number 7, which is our Strategic Equalities Plan Annual Report. This is on pages 273 to 314 of the pack. So once again, colleagues, another substantial document. And I know that Cabinet members already referenced this in line to our corporate plan report as well. So the report relates to our third year of delivery against our strategic equality objectives. And I'd like to draw your attention, colleagues, to the summary achievements table that highlights progress against each of our objectives, such as our use of participatory budgeting that Cabinet members already highlighted, the promotion, support and celebration of diversity across our city, with regard to a whole range of activities and opportunities for our communities to come together to celebrate diversity and unity. As you will know, colleagues, I'm passionate about equity, inclusion and diversity, and it's encouraging to see the progress being made, including the closure, as Cabinet members mentioned, of our gender pay gap amongst our officers, with gender equality also evident within members of our Cabinet. The report concludes with our staff equality data analysis and information on our continued commitment to working across a workforce, towards a workforce that reflects our diverse communities across our city. And this is going to be a key objective within our new Strategic Equalities Plan and People Plan. And of course, it's embedded within our corporate plan. Now, I'm just going to pause at this point and invite the Cabinet Member to make a contribution. Councillor Batruni.
Thank you, Leader. I just want to say, first start off with a couple of thank yous, and building on what you said earlier to our staff, for the great strides they've made in making this a more equal council. There's two of them in this room particularly I would like to thank, but I won't mention their names, but they know who they are, and I really do appreciate all the hard work, and we all do appreciate the hard work they do. And for you, yourself, Leader, as well, for setting the standard high that we must achieve and setting an example of equality in this council, and we do appreciate that, and I appreciate that. We also want to recognise the ongoing work around customer service and complaints. We are recognising, understanding what compliments, complaints that come into council, what it's telling us, what we need to understand and learn from, and this is building on your overarching theme, Leader. We are a listening council, even when it's negative. We want to understand where we're not hitting the standards you want us to hit. So, you know, as part of this plan, it's one of our achievements, and we're going to be building on that. And I want to re-emphasise the representativeness, which is a really important aspect to this council. And I want to recognise our diversity staff networks, where staff themselves are driving this agenda forward, empowered, having agency. It's not top-down driven approach, but a more collaborative approach with those partners. I want to pay testament to their staff and the extra time they put in to drive this agenda forward. But we have work to do. I mentioned it earlier, and we will not relent on that agenda. And I just want to emphasise that point, Leader.
Thank you for that, Councillor Batruni, and thank you for your leadership in taking this forward. Thank you. Any other comments from colleagues on this particular item? Okay. So are colleagues happy to approve the recommendations of this report? That's great. Thank you very much. We move to item number 8 on our agenda today, and as you'll recall, colleagues, this is a standing item on our agenda, and this is because we recognise the importance of this and the impact that it has on our residents and our communities across the city. So this is the External Pressures Report, and it's available on pages 315 to 320 of your packs. Now, within the report, colleagues, you will find links to national research which illustrates how the cost of living crisis and the effects of the pandemic are impacting on residents, schools and employees across the whole of Wales. At the local level, officers and partners are accessing, facilitating and promoting local and national schemes and funding to plan the financial support available as we move into the winter months. Officers are also working closely with our health colleagues as we head into the winter months to help mitigate the impact of general winter pressures on the NHS and social care services, as Cabinet members already highlighted today, whilst monitoring and responding to concerns over the increasing rates of COVID-19. Now, as leader of the Council and chair of One Newport, I continue to advocate for partnership working as being vital for supporting our residents and businesses, and the report contains information on how collaborative working enables access to support, advice and guidance for those experiencing difficulties during this time. As always, colleagues, I'd like to take this opportunity to urge our residents who are experiencing difficulties to please contact the Council for information, support and advice. Residents can do this in person, as Cabinet members already mentioned, by phone, or by visiting our support and advice pages on our website. Now, I'm really pleased to note, colleagues, in terms of the report itself, that the additional cost of living advisors are now in post, and they've started to build partnerships across the city. The report does detail the experience that we're currently having with challenges and pressures on housing and homelessness across Newport. And it also highlights some of the initiatives that we're engaged in to try and address this. Now, with the introduction of the streamlined asylum process by the Home Office, a cross-service officer group has been meeting to assess any potential impacts on existing significant challenges around service delivery with regard to homelessness and those service pressures. And Newport Education Welfare Service continues to work closely with all of our schools to support the improvement in rates of learner attendance and reset a more positive school attendance culture across our city. So I'm just going to pause at that point and invite colleagues to comment on any particular aspects of the report. Any further comments? Councillor Harvey?
Thanks, Leader. Unfortunately, we are where we are with this, in that there's still not many people are still needing services, they're still needing food banks. The Bevan Foundation has put a report onto this attachment. More than 1 in 7 households in Wales are often always struggling to afford essential items. It's absolutely criminal in 2023 that we're having figures like this. People are borrowing money they can't afford to pay back to try and live from day to day, and it's absolutely cruel, criminal, toe curling. All those analogies, it's just awful. But to echo what you keep saying over and over again, please reach out. We're all in the same boat. We'll help each other. We'll do whatever we got to do. You will reiterate this at every cabinet meeting, and you reiterate it at every meeting we have that's not online. And I just want to say the same. Please just get hold of one of us, your councillor in your ward. Just contact them. We can help you and point you in the right directions. Thank you.
Absolutely, Councillor Harvey. Absolutely. Councillor Petruni.
Thank you, Leader. I just want to reflect upon what Councillor Harvey and I heard earlier from an officer around housing. And I just want to pay testament to our Cabinet member, Councillor James Clark, and his team for the amazing work they're doing in such stark environment, driven by the Westminster Government. And I just want to re-emphasise that. I know it's politics, but it's the real life consequences of poor decisions at UK government that drove inflation and interest rates that have caused misery and mayhem to many of our residents across this city. And it's services led by Councillor James Clark and his wonderful team who are facing the front end of people not affording rents, not affording their mortgages, struggling to make life bearable in many instances. So I want to pay testament to their hard work. And they face almost overwhelming, Councillor Harvey, wasn't it? Negative news, huge amounts of pressure, and they face it with a dignity and a grace, and that should be commended. I just want to put that on the record.
Thank you for that, Councillor Petruni. Thank you. Very welcome comments there. Councillor Clark.
Sorry, Leader. There we go. First of all, thank you for those kind words, and you know they really are for the officers and teams involved. But really, to sort of to expand on that, it really is tough times. We have weekly, if not daily, meetings, and as it's just been mentioned, you know, it's hard to get good news stories in these tough times. But what I do know is that all the officers and all the teams involved are trying their utmost. And also you've got to remember, you know, they're residents as well. You know, they're going through tough times themselves. But they come in, they're doing their absolute best. We're hoping for more positive progress to be made and announced soon. But it is tough. And sort of, you know, it's tough on the residents of Newport, and it's tough on the officers and the teams involved. But what I would say, and what I do know, with the strength of my colleagues and also the strength of the leader, is that we are doing our damnedest to try and make this work in the toughest time in history, or in my living history. And it isn't helped by the UK government. It really isn't. And, you know, it's not as if it's going to get easier at the moment. But what Newport will know, we are honest councillors who do this from the heart, and the people and the teams behind us, or lead us or advise us, are exactly the same. And going back to Councillor Harvey's point, you know, we're a phone call away. You know, can we solve everything? No, we can't at the moment. It's hard, but we'll listen. We'll take it on, and as I said, we'll do our damnedest to do our best. And yeah, as I said, Councillor Petruni's kind words, and they really are, and they will be taken back to the team. But it is hard times. But you know, we are there, we are pushing, and we're doing the best we possibly can in these tough times. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Clark. And I think you've highlighted a really important point there, that the significant majority of our officers who are employed by us are also Newport residents as well. And the situations that we're talking about impact on them too. So thank you for highlighting that. Deputy Leader, would you like to come in?
Thank you. It's a focus really on our schools and what's happening within our schools. We are, you know, they're at the front line of seeing children struggling in poverty. But I'm really grateful of one specific aspect where our young girls suffer and struggle, and the women in their families suffer as well and struggle, because finances, the money that comes into their households, does not pay for the period projects that they so badly need. And I'm really grateful that Welsh Government are continue funding period projects, which are freely available for our young girls in our schools, right down through to primary school age as well. But those products is things that they can actually take home to the family, because so many mothers will actually go without to ensure their children can actually attend school. You know, deprivation in regards to lack of access to peer projects leads to non-attendance in schools. So it's actually a key priority that this funding continues. But it's noted within the report that our local support networks are now ensuring delivery of these projects, which are provided by Welsh Government to residents' home, to save from that embarrassment and that fear of not actually being able to go out because they've got lack of provision. It's appalling, I have to say, that in this day and age we're having to think of providing those basic needs for free because women can't afford them, which is absolutely a basic right. It's shocking, it really is. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Leader, and I couldn't agree with you more on that particular point. Absolutely. Any further contributions? Councillor Hughes.
Thank you, Leader. I just wanted to, as we've been talking about partnership a lot today, just reach out to our religious communities and schools for the help that they've given over the Harvest Festival recently to provide food for our local food banks. I visited one only last week, and the difference that initiative does is incredible to our food banks and makes a real difference to obviously how many people they can help in the city. So just reaching out to those groups for their thanks.
And we're all with you in that. Thank you very much for doing that, Councillor Hughes, on behalf of us all. Thank you. Any further contributions on that? So, colleagues are happy to accept that report? Yeah, thank you. Item number 9 on our agenda is the work programme, and this is just an update on our current Cabinet work programme, and members content to accept this. Thank you all then. That was the final item on our agenda today, so thank you for attending and thank you for your contributions. As always, thank you to Democratic Services for the support given in actually organising the meeting, and thank you all very much. Have a good evening.